This wasn't just another All-Star game. This was a moment frozen in time, a generational showdown waiting to happen. On one end, Michael Jordan, 34 years old, the face of the NBA for over a decade, stepping into what many believed could be his final All-Star appearance as a Chicago Bull. On the other end, Kobe Bryant, just 19, the youngest All-Star in NBA history, bursting with energy, confidence, and something to prove. The stakes weren't a championship. They were legacy. Over 18,000 fans packed the Garden that night, but it felt like every eye was locked on one thing, the symbolic passing of the torch. But Jordan wasn't ready to hand it over just yet. The East was coached by Larry Bird, the West by George Karl. Phil Jackson wasn't coaching, and Scottie Pippen was out, leaving Jordan surrounded not by his Bulls brothers, but by rivals and rising stars. And yet, he stood tall. From the opening tip, it was clear this game meant more. The East wasted no time. On the very first possession, they ran a play specifically for Jordan. He came off a pin-down screen, took one dribble into the paint, and with that iconic elevation, faded away over Kevin Garnett. The ball dropped through the net soft and clean. Just like that, vintage MJ. Statement made. But on the other end, Shaquille O'Neal wasn't backing down. He calmly buried a turnaround jumper over Dikembe Mutombo, a rare finesse move from a player known more for brute strength. Shaq was saying, anything Jordan can do, I can match. Then came a mirror play. The East, trying to echo Jordan's first shot, ran a similar set for Grant Hill, who attacked the rim and scored with a soft roll. Hill, long compared to MJ, was now trying to carve his own chapter on the same stage. The tempo picked up. Penny Hardaway rose for a jumper after Gary Payton foolishly went under the screen. What? The West answered back with a flash of style. Payton spun midair, twisted 360, and dished a no-look pass to a wide-open Kobe Bryant. The rookie caught it in rhythm and drained his first-ever All-Star jumper. 19 years old, lighting up the Garden, with Michael Jordan watching from across the court. This wasn't just a game anymore. It was a generational collision, and it had only just begun. The first few minutes were just the warm-up. Now, the real fireworks were about to begin. After draining his first jumper, Kobe Bryant was brimming with confidence. This wasn't just a teenager soaking in the moment. This was a rising star trying to steal the spotlight from the greatest to ever do it. And Shaquille O'Neal? He was feeding off that same energy. But the East wasn't backing down either. Penny Hardaway kept attacking. Gary Payton made the same mistake twice, going under the screen, and Penny punished him both times with back-to-back mid-range jumpers. It was clinical, poised, and personal. Then Shaq came storming back. He caught the ball deep in the paint, leaned in on Mutombo, and powered through contact for the finish. No flash. No finesse. Just brute dominance. The contrasting styles of both teams were now fully on display. The East ran structured sets, trying to execute plays, while the West played fast and loose, thriving in transition and improvisation. Two different philosophies. Same level of intensity. Then came the play that cracked the game wide open. Shaq pulled down a defensive rebound and looked up. Kobe was already sprinting down the floor. Shaq fired a perfect outlet pass in stride. Kobe took one dribble, rose into the air, and unleashed a 360 dunk in transition. In an All-Star game. At 19. With Michael Jordan on the floor. The crowd at Madison Square Garden lost its mind. It was fearless, bold, and electrifying. The NBA's future had just thrown down the gauntlet. But Kobe wasn't done. Moments later, he grabbed a rebound himself, pushed the ball up the floor, and passed it to Kevin Garnett. Garnett barely touched it before flipping it right back up, and Kobe flew in for the alley-oop finish. The Garden erupted again. This was no longer an exhibition game. This was a battle for respect. Then came Jordan's answer. Grant Hill missed a fast break layup, but out of nowhere, Jordan came crashing in. Elevating in traffic, he soared above everyone and hammered down a violent putback dunk. The bench exploded. The crowd roared. It wasn't just a highlight, it was a warning. Jordan wasn't going anywhere. And then, it happened. Kobe guarding Jordan. The moment everyone in the building had been waiting for. Jordan got the ball, faced up the 19-year-old, and calmly went to work. A couple of dribbles, a fake, a fadeaway over his left shoulder, bucket. Classic MJ. Nothing but net. Next time down the floor, same result. Another isolation. Another fadeaway. This time, he drew the foul too. It was like watching a chess master toy with his student. Jordan wasn't just scoring, he was sending a message, I still run this league. As the first quarter came to a close, the scoreboard didn't tell the whole story. Yes, both teams were scoring, but this was more than just numbers. It was history unfolding in real time. Kobe brought the flash. Shaq brought the power. But Jordan, he brought the presence. The kind that made the entire arena lean forward and hold its breath. And the game. It was just getting started. As the second quarter opened, the spotlight dimmed on the starters, but not for long. The bench checked in, but the intensity didn't drop for a second. In fact, some of the game's flashiest moments were about to unfold. Jason Kidd, then a rising star in his own right, wasted no time making an impact. He drove into the lane, read the defense like a seasoned point guard, and zipped a laser to Mitch Richmond, who calmly knocked down an open jumper. The West kept the ball moving. Reggie Miller responded quickly for the East, curling off a screen like he had done for over a decade, and drilled a classic Reggie mid-range jumper. Pure rhythm. Pure muscle memory. Then came a flash of brilliance. On the break, Kidd tossed a no-look, over-the-top alley-oop to Eddie Jones, who soared up and threw it down with force. It was Showtime basketball, not in Los Angeles, but under the bright lights of Madison Square Garden. But while the action kept flowing, a storm was brewing. A quiet assassin was heating up. Glenn Rice, one of the smoothest shooters in the league, caught fire. First, a three from the wing. Then another. Same spot. Then a third. Back to back to back. The net barely moved. In under 2 minutes, Rice went from silent to unstoppable. He had found a rhythm that couldn't be interrupted, and the West had no answers. But even as the West tried to stay in it, David Robinson caught a feed in the pick and roll and nearly tore the rim down with a two-handed slam. The buzz returned. Jordan was checking back in. And right on cue, he delivered. No hesitation. No warm-up. Just results. Jordan rose for a smooth jumper and buried it like he'd never left the court. Then, with the shot clock winding down and Kobe back on him, he went right back to work. Same matchup. Same move. Same fadeaway. Same result. Kobe tried to stay in front. He tried to contest. He tried to rattle him. But Jordan wasn't rattled. He was surgical. 3 straight possessions. 3 buckets. All over Kobe Bryant. It wasn't about ego. It was just basketball. Master versus apprentice. And the master still had all the tools. But Kobe, being Kobe, refused to be outdone. As the first half drew to a close, he pounced on a missed shot, soared above the crowd, and threw down a ferocious putback dunk with 1 second left on the clock. He let out a roar, pounding his chest. It was a statement. I'm still here. The third quarter opened with the starters returning to the floor, and so did the fire. Grant Hill hit a jumper right out of the gate, looking confident and fluid. But Kevin Garnett answered immediately with a pull-up jumper of his own, then exploded on the fast break for a powerful windmill dunk that brought the entire Garden to its feet. But it was the Lakers' connection that reignited the West. Kobe fed Shaq in the post, and the big man spun off his defender with a single powerful motion and hammered home a signature one-handed slam. The building shook. It was pure dominance. Then came another iconic moment. Jordan with the ball, Kobe guarding. MJ sized him up. Faked once. Then rose for the jumper. Shaq came flying in for the block, and got a piece of it. But the refs blew the whistle. Goaltending. Jordan just smiled. Even when blocked, he was scoring. But Kobe was just getting warmed up. The very next play, he pulled up from deep, nothing but net, right in Jordan's face. No hesitation. No fear. Just confidence. Then, he crafted one of the flashiest plays of the night, driving hard, faking a behind-the-back pass midair, freezing the defender, and finishing at the rim with flair. The swagger was undeniable. The crowd could feel it. Next possession, same story. The defense sagged. Kobe pulled up again. Another 3. In just a few possessions, the teenager had caught fire. His confidence was boiling over. Shaq followed suit, catching a feed from Karl Malone and finishing with a smooth right-handed hook, showing that the West still had plenty of life. As the third quarter ended, the East held a 101-91 lead, but momentum had begun to shift. Kobe was igniting. Shaq was dominating. And across the court, Jordan tightened his laces just a little more. Everyone in the building knew what was coming next. The fourth quarter, Jordan's quarter. The West was gaining ground. The crowd was buzzing. Kobe was heating up. Shaq was controlling the paint. But as the fourth quarter began, everyone in Madison Square Garden could sense it. Michael Jordan wasn't done. This was his moment. His floor. His league. And as if on cue, the West made a critical mistake. They left MJ open. You don't do that. Not in the fourth. Not against the greatest. Jordan caught the ball, stepped into the shot with perfect rhythm, and drilled a three-pointer. No hesitation, no celebration, just execution. Business as usual. The Garden roared. Then Jordan shifted gears. He didn't just want to score, he wanted to orchestrate. He wanted to control the game the way only he could. On the next play, he drove hard into the paint, pulled the defense toward him, and kicked it out to Reggie Miller waiting on the perimeter. Splash. Nothing but net. Then again, Jordan penetrated, drew defenders like gravity, and kicked it out to Reggie a second time. Same shot. Same result. Another 3. Jordan was running the game like a maestro. Passing. Scoring. Leading. Dominating. And then, the flashback. He caught the ball in transition, isolated against Jason Kidd, and like it was 1991 all over again, spun past him effortlessly, elevated, and hung in the air just a little longer than anyone else. The finish, smooth. Controlled. Classic MJ. The crowd exploded. But he wasn't finished. Moments later, he attacked again, slicing through the defense, trying to recreate that same magic. The layup missed, but Antoine Walker came flying in, hammering down the putback dunk with authority. The East bench jumped up. The score stretched. The momentum belonged to MJ and company. But the West still had gas left in the tank. Eddie Jones drove into the lane and somehow twisted mid-air, slipping through defenders and finishing the most acrobatic layup of the night. Then came one last moment from the kid who had lit up the stage all night, Kobe Bryant. He got the ball, looked up, saw Jordan in front of him, and attacked. With a quick spin and burst of speed, he flew to the rim and laid it in with style. One final highlight. One final statement from the apprentice. Nick Van Exel, not known for his dunks at just 6 feet 1 inch, added a final shocker, rising up and throwing it down with a roar. The West was still swinging. But time was running out. The score kept growing, and the East never looked back. Final score, East 135, West 114. When the buzzer sounded and the lights dimmed, one truth stood above everything else. Michael Jordan was still the king. He finished with 23 points, 6 rebounds, and the All-Star Game MVP, in what would be his final All-Star appearance as a Chicago Bull. Kobe had brought the flash. Shaq had brought the power. But Jordan, he brought the mastery. This wasn't just a performance, it was a message. A statement. The future is coming, but the present still belongs to me. And as Kobe stood across the court, breathing heavy, heart pounding, eyes locked on number 23, he saw it. He felt it. Greatness doesn't fade. It leaves its mark. And Michael Jordan had just carved his one, final, unforgettable signature into All-Star history.